Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello my respected and innocent learners. Welcome to my session. At the very beginning of my lecture, take my heart's love and salam. Assalamu alaikum and adab for the Hindus. I hope that you are safe and sound at your house by the grace of Almighty Allah. I am again here to share and discuss the important parts. How to fill in the blanks in easy way. My dear learners, if you know some techniques, you will be able to fill in the blanks easily. So, don't be late, join us and enjoy my session. Look at the whiteboard. To tell a lie is a great sin. Or telling lies is a great sin. There are two sentences. First sentence, to tell a lie is a great sin. Here, to tell a lie, and second sentence, telling lies is a great sin. To tell a lie, it is subject of the sentence. To tell a lie is a great sin. Here, to tell used as subject, but generally it is infinitive. It is infinitive. Second sentence, telling lies is a great sin. Here, telling is gerund. My dear learners, there is a question. What is the differences between infinitive and gerund? When a verb takes to and verb is the base form and it expressed or used in a sentence as a noun, that is the infinitive. When verb takes ing end of it and used as a object or subject and it's used in a sentence noun and verb, that is gerund. Okay, so infinitive can be used as subject and also gerund can be a subject of a sentence. Clear? Here I want to make it clear, infinitive can be used as an object in a sentence and also gerund can be used as an object in a sentence. How? I want to make you clear here. Look at the sentences. She loves cooking. She loves cooking. She loves to cook. My dear learners, first sentence here, cooking is used as gerund because it is object of this sentence. Okay? Cooking, gerund and cooking. Gerund here, cooking used as object of this sentence and it is used as verb and noun. So it is also called the double part of speech. Another sentence here, she loves to cook. She loves to cook. Here cook is object, but it is double part of it. It is also used as verb and noun. So here it is clear to you that gerund and infinitive can be used as an object, can be used as an object of a sentence. Clear? And another, so gerund and infinitive is also is called the non-finite verb. Do you know what is non-finite verb? Do you know what is finite verb? The verb is changed according to subject, number, person, tense, voice. That is called the finite verb. and that type of verb can be never changed according subject, number, parts of a sentence. It is called non-finite verb. Non-finite verb are three kinds: infinitive, gerund, and participle. Participle. Suppose participle. A rolling stone gathers no moss. No moss. Here, rolling used as participle. Participle. When a verb takes ing end of this and used as verb and adjective, that is called present participle. There are three types of participle in English: present participle, past participle, and perfect participle. I want to make it clear what is present participle, what is past participle, what is perfect participle. Look at the sentence. A car made in Japan is nice. Here made is used as past participle. Past participle. Clear? Another sentence is that having done the work, having done the work, I went to college. Here, having done, having and done, that is perfect participle. Clear? When you say having, then verb is three, that is called perfect participle. And there is no having, but verb is past participle form, that is called the past participle. And end of the verb ing and used as a verb and adjective in a sentence, that is called the present participle. My dear learners, sometimes you have to maintain this and you can able to fill in the blanks easily. Okay? Here, look at the another sentence. I know that Shakib is good. Here, I know is a sentence and that Shakib is good is another sentence. There are two parts. First part, I know. Second part, Shakib is good. But middle of the sentence, there is a conjunction. It is subordinating conjunction. My dear learners, here, if you know the clause well, then you can easily to fill in the blanks. I know it is clause. It is principal clause or main clause. Do you know what is the main clause or principal clause? I sure you know it well, but I want to remind it again. Here, principal clause. The clause has a clear meaning and never take any conjunction before it. That is the principal clause. And another, that Shakib is good. Here it is subordinate clause. Subordinate clause always takes any subordinate conjunction before it, and generally it cannot express its clear meaning without help of the principal clause. Clear? So it helps you to fill in the blanks. Okay, my dear learners. Another example here is that Shakib is poor, but he is honest. If you analyze the sentence, there are two clauses here. Shakib is poor. Another sentence, he is good or honest. good or honest. Here, but is coordinating conjunction. But is coordinating conjunction. When two principal clauses are connected with coordinating conjunction, the principal clause turned into the coordinate clauses. Here, Saqib is poor. Here it is coordinate clause, and he is good or honest is coordinate clause. And here, but is coordinating conjunctions. So it helps you to fill in the blank. No more today. Goodbye.